Hello everybody. So, I'm recording this a bit differently. I'm trying something new and I've pre-recorded this footage, edited a video, and I am going to voice over it after the fact. So this is a piece from the Nick Hoops rough parcel that I reviewed just the other day. It was the Boulder rub that I really like the look of. I thought it looked a bit like a fish. And yeah, so it's a bright blue piece, pretty small. Nick says he wants to be known as the Boulder guy, so I thought I'd start off with his Boulder Opal. He was just selling the Fairy Opal because he came across a whole heap of it at some point and just wanted to offload it. So yeah, he's mainly a Boulder Opal kind of guy. I'll link to that past video which has got all his details and stuff on it. And here I'm just looking at it and picking apart the edges. I don't really want to change the shape too much if I don't have to, because the whole piece has got some nice colour. It's got this nice stripe down what I thought would be the belly of the fish. It doesn't quite turn out like that, but I still like the piece. It's really nice. And here I'm just looking at the two edges. Well, the two ends you can see they're foggy because of the rubbing, but in the centre it's like a raw fracture, so it just looks like that glass, nice glossy piece. So yeah, because it's already rubbed, instead of going to one of the coarse diamond bits, I'm basically going to start out with this Nova tip. So that's the grey tip, and then I'll go on to the rose tip after that, and the cerium oxide after that. So the grey is a 1200 grit, the rose is the 3000 grit, and then cerium oxide is cerium oxide. So basically just hit every surface with the grey tip, and I'll fast forward through that. I'm sure you can all guess what it looks like. It's basically just hitting it from every angle possible, making sure that it's nice and omnidirectional, saves you getting really deep cutting marks all in one direction to get rid of later. And yeah, so this is what it looks like after that. So I'm just making sure it's nice and dry. You want to look at all of these. In between every step, you've got to dry it and you've got to watch the glint, the reflection of the light across the surface. And you can see there I'm not liking the look at it. It's a little bit too faceted. So we like nice, flowing, smooth surfaces. And this is just looking way too chunky for my liking. So I think I switch back to it. Yep, back to the grey bit. And we hit it again, and we keep doing this until we can get rid of all that faceting. We just want it nice and smooth. So here, after another attempt, you can see there's still some deep fracture lines. The whole surface should be nice and smooth and foggy because we've hit everything with the 1200. But here with the toothpick, I'm showing you where there's heaps of little fracture marks. So, back to it. Hitting that with the 1200 again, just focusing on those areas. And then this is what it looks like. You can see that they're all disappearing a bit, but now I'm starting to get annoyed with the edges because there's a few spots where you can see the ironstone peeking out around the edge. And I'm just pointing those out here. There's this V-shaped nick towards the tail end of it, which I started not liking the look of. And I was going to leave the piece shaped pretty much exactly like it was, but looking at these, I started getting, I don't know, a bit annoyed the fact that they were there, so I decided that I would actually get rid of them. And here I'm just having a look at those fracture marks again, and you can see that they're still, some of the deep ones are still there, so we're going to have to work on getting rid of those at the same time. So here I've switched to a 600 solid tip, metal tip, diamond coated. I'm looking at getting some diamond sintered stuff, but it's pretty pricey and I haven't found a good supplier yet. And we'll just speed up through this. I will point out that the biggest pain with Boulder Opal is exactly what you're seeing here. Look at that mud. It is disgusting stuff. And you'll notice that I'm dipping the bit in the water and rubbing it with my finger a lot. That's just to dislodge some of the mud. It really is like a clay. And on a 600 grit bit, you really need to clean it out, otherwise the 600 grit just disappears and you're basically just rubbing mud against mud and you don't get too far. So I'm really grinding it down. The good thing is that it's really soft. You won't be able to damage your tips unless you're pushing really hard, and it does come off like butter. So yeah, it's a hot knife through butter. You can really go through it really quickly, so be careful when you're around the edge of the actual precious opal. You want to keep that stuff from chipping, and if you're like me and if you've already attacked it with the Nova tips, you want to avoid scratching it any further with a coarser diamond bit. So yeah, be a little bit careful, but at the same time you want to get through it as quickly as possible. I took quite some time here, but there I am attacking that little V cutout. Just constantly re-examining it, checking out the surface. And then this is what happens to the tip. So you finish it and you think, oh yeah, good. And then you look at the tip and it's just caked with rubbish. So I'm basically just dunking it in water, and then I've got a little microfiber towel kind of thing that sits on my armrest, and I just scrub it basically, and that's it after the first attempt. Dunk it again, give it a scrub with the microfiber. And the good thing is that the stuff does clean out, and there you go, back to a fresh looking tip. It's a healthy boy. So I didn't catch this on camera, but I wasn't overly happy with the edges and the grooves, so I just went through and I just tidied up the edge towards the bottom. A lot of that will get ground off anyway because it's way too thick, but I just did that, and then I used the small pointy one just to tidy up that edge in the V nick that I'm taking out of the piece, and this is what it looks like. So pay close attention to, well, the fact that the colours come out much nicer now, but also this. So the light is just nicely playing over the surface. You're not getting a lot of jumpiness, you're not getting a lot of flat spots, you're not getting any huge nicks in the surface. So we've managed to get rid of all of those, and that's the point when you're happy to move on. So here I've moved on to the Rose Nova tip, and that's a 3000 grit Nova tip. And same again, hit every surface, hit the edges. Well, I didn't bother hitting the ironstone, but I did hit the edges of the actual precious opal just to round off the edges a bit, otherwise you end up getting chips and whatnot. There are also a few really minor scratches around that area which I got rid of with this tip. It's not great at getting rid of scratches though, so if you do see anything significant, you've got to stick with the 1200. I should have started this stone at about a 600, I think, but I wanted to cut some corners and it ended up slowing me down and taking me more time. So this is it then. So basically pre-polished, trying to make sure it's dry but my finger's wet because I'm an idiot. Dry off the finger, dry off the stone, have a look at it, watching the light play across the surface again, and you can see here that it's nice and smooth, but I'm worried about some of these marks. Turns out they're fingerprints. Half the time they will be fingerprints. And then, yeah, here you go, ceram oxide paste. So this is about the consistency of really thickened cream, whipped cream maybe. And yeah, basically turn on the bit, chuck it through, load up the tip. Since this is a small piece, I'll only have to do this once. So all the ceram oxide that I've loaded up here is going to be enough to do the entire stone for sure. And yeah, hit the surfaces. So starting in one direction, hitting the surface pretty well. You want to make sure you roll it over, do it all over again, and you want to go through and you just want to keep changing their direction and do some swirly patterns, all that kind of stuff, just to buff it out. The ceram oxide will get you a real good polish. You don't have to use this red coloured stuff, you can go with the white. I just got this one really cheap, so... And yeah, while you're going along, just when you've got a nice clean window, I've gone over the polishing procedure that I do in a separate video, and I guess I'll link that in the top corner. Otherwise you can search through the channel and I've got it there somewhere. But yeah, have a look at it at about this point and just see that it's nice and glossy. It's getting there. But of course, if you want a really, really fine finish, you just gotta keep at it. So this piece I decided to give it a bit more, and yeah, speed it up, cut some of it out. I did spend quite some time on it. And then yeah, making sure I hit it in different directions, and now you'll see me start dunking the tip in the water and also washing the opal. So this is basically just, it serves a couple purposes. It gets a little bit more of the finer cerium oxide out of the tip, I've found, and it also cleans the tip. So I'm slowly cleaning out a lot of that impregnated cerium oxide in the tip, which is yeah, pretty nice. Because if you've ever left a tip loaded with cerium oxide and let it dry, you can get some cracking, it can destroy the felt. And even though it's not expensive, I mean, don't just throw away money for no reason. Might as well keep it going for as long as possible. And here is the finished piece, so nice and glossy. If there's any marks there, I'm seeing a few marks. I'm just making sure that they're fingerprints and not any kind of chips or anything, though cerium oxide and felt, you're never really going to form new scratches or anything unless your cerium oxide's got some rocks in it. And yeah, have a look at that. It's pretty nice. It hasn't changed too much in terms of colour or anything, nothing exciting. It's got a bit of red in it when you're in low light conditions, but generally it's a blue-green, nice ocean kind of wavy pattern. And I think I just hold it like this the whole time. Yeah, I do. But spinning it around the other way, it looks a bit like a fish, and yeah, I've given myself the thumbs up, so thanks for watching.